Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. So I'm going to kind of give some general advice about engineering, and I have a little PowerPoint. And also, Grace, if you could send like the Jamboard link, I
Yeah.
think that would be a good time. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So if you go to this Jamboard link, it's really cool. There's like different, um, it's like this is like the second time I'm using it, and the first time there are a lot of technical difficulties. So that's why I feel the need to explain everything. But when you click on the little sidebar, you can add a little post-it or use the pen or a marker. Um, and I just wanted to first, I just wanted to know um, if everyone could just like leave a note about what kind of things we've been doing throughout quarantine, um, and we can just kind of talk about that a little bit. I think it's really important to talk about um, consider the context of what everyone's going through before I kind of start talking at you. So are people able to edit, add a sticky note? Is there some trouble? Okay, there we go. Thank you all. FaceTiming friends and spending time with family. Yeah, I've definitely been doing a lot of that as well. A lot of my friends from college actually live in other parts of the states. So it's been kind of difficult, but definitely watching favorite Netflix shows. Do want to put some recommendations on the board as well. Lots of YouTube, same. um, Baking and video calling, yes, I've definitely learned how to bake a lot of new things during quarantine. Watching movies. Yeah, I watched the Shawn Mendes movie on Netflix recently. It was really good. I would recommend it if you like Shawn Mendes. Playing competitive board games, clubs, practicing piano. Da, da. A lot of bakers here. Oh, I love Among Us too. Playing video games. Feel free to share recs for movies, video games, YouTubers, etc. Learning. That's good. That's always great. Clubs, Twitch, school. Ooh, making a bunch of different Spotify playlists. Yeah, with different different titles. I definitely have like a quarantine playlist. Oh my gosh. Okay, these are really this is like my second time using it, and I just I like it because it's more interactive than a lot of presentations that I've done during this time, and we're slowly like figuring out different ways to keep on connecting with people and make these presentations feel a little bit more natural. So thank you all so much for adding, and feel free to like keep adding, but I'm gonna move on back to the presentation for now. So to introduce myself, my name, oh, are people writing on the screen? I'm very confused. Okay, anyways, my name is Priya and I'm a sophomore computer science and engineering major at UC Davis, and I'm also picking up a minor in education. I grew up in Fremont and I went to Mission, graduated in 2019. So I guess one of the questions that was asked of me today was to kind of talk about what my journey was to get where I am now, and how do I know I wanted to pursue my major, and that kind of thing. So I guess it started in middle school when I joined First Lego League. That was probably my first experience doing anything related to CS or to tech, and that was um, coding with a graphical editor, and I thought that was really fun and I thought it was really cool. And then in high school, I decided to join a club called Zero Robotics. So that picture in the corner is from that. It's really similar. It's different from First Lego League and First Robotics, but it's like a simulation based thing. So it's all programming, and you program these spheres to do different challenges. And my team, we actually ended up being one of the like top teams, and we got to go to MIT to watch our code simulated, and they actually simulate your code on spheres in at the ISS, at the International Space Station, in zero gravity, which was super 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 cool. And then but still in high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. um, I was kind of interested in bio. I was like a little bit interested in CS and tech because of my experiences with robotics, and but I still didn't know at all. And I think it's really natural just to be really confused and not know. And I still, I think that's an ongoing thing. You keep discovering different things and different interests that you have. And so in the summer before freshman year of college, I got a scholarship to attend this program called CSSI, which Computer Science Summer Institute, which is really, really, really fun. And I got to go to Seattle, and that's when I was like, okay, maybe I will try computer science and engineering, that kind of thing. And then there's some other things I didn't mention, some other experiences I had in high school. I did this program called She++, which was basically about building support for women in computer science in your community. And my initiative in She++ was creating an initiative called Project Empower Girls, where we just did some tech conferences, and that was really, really fun. And one of my main defining moments in high school, I think, just getting to build up leadership skills and build confidence. So in college, I I go to UC Davis, as I mentioned before, and at Davis, some of my favorite experiences have actually been going to hackathons, and I joined Society of Women Engineers, and I'm on the rowing team, which because of quarantine is kind of on hiatus, but that was also really fun. And I think in college you have a lot of opportunities, way more opportunities than you'll ever be able to do, but you have so many different things that you can try. Um, and of course, I was at this point, I still didn't know what I wanted to major in. And I think just joining different clubs and orgs and going to hackathons was really important for me to really kind of try out different things. And so even in the field of CS, there's so many different career paths you can go down. It's really important to just open your mind to different opportunities. So last summer, which was my freshman year summer, I did an internship at a small startup called Managerly, and I was doing full stack engineering, which is basically like full stack is basically developing both the front, working on all parts of a website, the front end, which has the UX and the visuals, and also the back end, which is where you store data, and that kind of thing. And this summer, I'm going to be interning in UX engineering at Bank of America, which is really exciting. And I have some general advice. I'm only a sophomore in college, so I'm still not that much farther along than all of you, but this is hopefully this is still helpful. So the first thing I would say is definitely make a LinkedIn. It's really important to be able to showcase your work. It's really important to seek mentorship and make a portfolio as well. So when you make a LinkedIn, you can put all the different orgs that you're in, different work experiences, volunteering, clubs, that kind of thing. And then something that I do a lot, not as much right now, just because of limited time, but seeking mentorship is really important. So if you go on LinkedIn and you just do a basic search of a, a career path that you're interested in, then you can see people who are already further along in that path, and you can feel free to message them. Maybe you won't get a response from 90% of the people, but there are definitely a lot of people out there who are willing to just do like a one-on-one chat with you, answer any questions that you have, and that's been really beneficial. Um, and that's how I kind of figured out more of kind of what I want to do, because like I mentioned before, in CS there's a lot of different paths. There's more of the design and the UX path, there's software engineering, there's UX engineering, there's back-end specific roles. You could do project management, product management. There's a whole host of different things you can do, and you can also do work in different fields. So, and then the last thing on here was make a portfolio. So you definitely should, if you start doing projects, you should definitely make a website where you can talk about all these projects and just showcase all the work that you've done, because that's really beneficial for interviews and internships and that kind of thing. And also it's just for you to see your own progress as well. And then the second bit of advice that I have is to keep exploring different opportunities. So superposition, it's really great to see that everyone is here and everyone's seeking out this kind of information and being engaged, because that's really important. That's definitely a huge part of it. And there's like tons of different orgs you can join, clubs, opportunities. These are all STEM specific. So sorry about that. But these are the ones that I ran into in high school and in college. And I would definitely recommend if exploring if any of these seem interesting to you. But yeah, just in general, just keep seeking out opportunities and get engaged. So it's definitely great to meet other people who have similar interests as you and connect with them. And in college, I've had success with joining different communities. So there's always clubs like ACM, which is Association for Computing and Machinery. I think, don't quote me on that. There's also WIX, which is Women in CS. There's Rewriting the Code. And of course, I'm going to plug my own organization that I'm in. UC Davis SWE has been really, really great and really good to me. And then there's, of course, different Facebook groups that you can join, which have been also really, there's like, I think for high schoolers, there's like high school hackers. And then I would definitely like recommend applying for different awards and grants, because you can sometimes get funding to spearhead your own project, which is really, really fun. And try hackathons, even if you're not a CS major, I would still recommend going, or sorry, I know none of you are in college. If you're not interested in CS, there's different opportunities at hackathons. There's a lot of different technologies and tools you can learn how to use. So superposition, like the big superposition hackathon is really great. I really love it. And the founder, Arita, she's really awesome. And then there's pixel hacks and there's college hackathons, but I think for some of these you have to be 18 or older. So maybe not everyone in this group, but definitely next year or so, definitely check them out. And of course, robotics teams are also great groups to meet other people who have the same passions and the same interests. And those are just some ideas to get the ball rolling. And then for internship specific advice, I know it can be like really, especially in your first and second years of college. This is more like CS specific internship advice, or CS or computer engineering, or software engineering. But I know it can be really daunting because at that point you probably wouldn't have had much experience with software development. So what helped me get an internship in my first and second year, and I also know a lot of like high school seniors who who have gone internships, which is also really cool, is just learn some basics, learn HTML and CSS and JavaScript, learn a framework. There's lots of free resources online, and these are things that are really more accessible, and it's easier to pick up. And just go and create a lot of projects, go to hackathons, and just start building. And that's how you can build up the experience that you need to get a first internship. There's freshman specific internships, and that usually opens, like it opens really, really early, like July before your freshman year of college is when they start to open. So just keep an eye out for that. But also startups are really great, and they provide a lot of great experience as like a first internship experience, because some of those freshman specific ones are really, really competitive and hard to get, and it can be kind of discouraging if you don't get one. But it's just know that also, like, it's not expected of you to have an internship in your first and second year of college. It's just something that some people might be able to get into the freshman specific ones, but it can be really competitive. And in your first 2 years of college, you're still learning, and that's to be expected, and that's completely fine. And then those are all the sides that I have. I have some recommendations for documentaries. I would really recommend The Great Hack, Coded Bias, and Picture a Scientist. I think it's important when we're talking about engineering and tech and Silicon Valley to also understand and think about ethics. So I really like these three. The Great Hack talks about Cambridge Analytica. Coded Bias, it talks about racial bias, algorithmic bias, basically. And Picture a Scientist is more about women's experience in engineering. And all these are really great. And then if anyone here is interested in reading books as well, I would recommend The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, which is really dense, but it's definitely a great read. And just important to be informed of that side of this field as well when you're kind of making these decisions on where you want to go in your career and what kind of things you want to build. And I plug my social media, so feel free to follow me on there. And yeah, I guess we should go to questions.
Yeah, we have like quite a few questions, but I guess like beginning with high school and stuff, how did you balance both your robotics and schoolwork in high school?
So high school, I think I hadn't really gotten as great at time management, probably, as I still struggle with it. But I think it's really important to, and I know because of quarantine, you have a bit more flexibility with things. I think it's really important to create like schedules for your day, create priorities for your day, and then make sure you get those priorities done before you do anything else. So if you have like a list of 3 things that you need to finish today, finish those 3 things before you think of anything else. And it's really important just to have that headspace and not overwork yourself either.
Someone asked, what kinds of extracurriculars did you do in high school that enabled you to get into a good college?
So in high school, I kind of was all over the place. I did National History Day for all 4 years of high school and also in middle school. I did robotics, zero robotics, specifically starting in sophomore year. And then other than that, I just kind of tried a bunch of different things that I was interested in. I think it's everything I did kind of seems disjointed. Like I was also in my school's color guard all 4 years. And I wouldn't say that there's a specific set of extracurriculars that you need to do to get into college. I think it's really important to try different things and branch out into different fields and just explore what you're interested in, because this is the time that you'll be able to in high school and college. Those are the times that's really important for you to take those opportunities.
People also wondered, like, in college, how did you manage getting an internship focusing on your studies and doing what you love all at the same time?
So my internship was actually in the summer. So I I know there's a lot of people who do internships while in school as well. And I think that's also an option. And I don't know that's something that I would personally be able to do because I think it's hard for me to kind of go in so many different like headspaces at once. But I know that people have, like my friend does a lot of stuff, and how she manages it is she kind of plans everything out every day in a spreadsheet and has a schedule. And I think over time you just need to build discipline and stick to a schedule, which is really hard to do at first, but it's something that it's practiced, and it's something that people learn eventually. Still struggling here, but getting
Yeah,
kind of
same.
getting there.
I think like I just struggle with motivation primarily. So I guess like, do you have any tips on gaining motivation, I guess?
Yeah, I think the most important part of that is keeping yourself healthy and keeping yourself balanced. So, I, I'm saying this and I laugh because in high school, like I totally did not follow this advice. But make sure you get enough sleep every day. I think that's the most important for um, like motivation is influenced by your mood, and it's important to keep yourself mentally healthy, so make sure you get enough sleep. I would definitely prioritize that. And I know, and especially in Fremont, that's kind of, we don't really follow that advice all the time, but it's really important. And in addition to that, I know it's also harder because of quarantine, but make sure you take the time for exercise, for meeting with friends, and also most importantly, having time that's not in front of a screen. All of those things just, I think, contribute to being more mentally healthy. And when you're mentally healthy, you actually get a lot more done, and just a lot easier that way. And take my word for it. I know I definitely like got the same advice in high school and didn't follow it, but it's something to consider.
I think like bouncing off your organization work, um, could you describe what your work is with SWE and how to join it in college?
Mhm. Yeah, so SWE is really awesome. SWE it's Society for Women Engineers, but we also serve um, gender nonconforming, gender expansive, and non-binary individuals. So it's a bit more inclusive than just women in engineering, and it's a community where we host, like we have different like pieces of it. So we have an outreach side where I'm the chair of the outreach side, did like a high school mentorship program. We have like a professional development side, so they do workshops with recruiters on interviewing and resumes and that kind of thing. And then we have like a personal development side, so they do workshops on like leadership skills and like community building. So we have like a bunch of different like bonding events, and it's really great. And in my first year, I was in the last year actually, I was in the engineering living community, which was like 10 women and 60 males. So it was nice to have SWE to kind of fall back on and make friends in my classes who were women in engineering. But it's also great to have a balance as well.
Yeah. And I think like I have like a couple questions, or there are a couple questions on your summer CSSI, I think.
Mhm.
Someone asked, how did you receive the scholarship to attend Google's Computer Science Summer
Mhm.
Institute?
Yeah, so basically in your senior year of high school, the application opens in January. I think it was January in my year. So definitely look out for that, but you just have to apply. And there's like a few essay questions, and then there's like there's like a coding assessment now. Um, so that's for your senior year of high school is when you can apply. And then the coding assessment, don't be intimidated by it if you haven't learned any CS principles. I think it's more of like getting your thought process, and you don't need any experience to be able to do well in it.
Yeah. And how do you find programs similar to it?
hmm so like I mentioned, all those different like Facebook groups and like just having that outreach and getting engaged is a way to like be in the loop of those kind of things. There's also mailing lists that you can follow. So I know I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know that there's actually like Arita Wong has a mailing list. It's not super position specific, but she has a mailing list where she sends out CS opportunities. If you join the Facebook group Rewriting the Code, that's also a really great place to just be informed of different opportunities.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to for those applying to these summer programs? Or yeah.
I think sometimes they can be a little bit competitive, so I wouldn't like necessarily worry too much about what to do to get into them because it is really random as well. So just throw your hat and throw, I don't know what that expression is. Just try and apply for them when you see the opportunities, and don't stress about getting in or not getting in. Just take a chance at it, and just don't be afraid to talk about experiences that you've done that are not tech related, as well, and don't feel like you need a lot of experience in tech, or in engineering or in CS to get into these programs, because you definitely don't.
Yeah. And someone also asked, in high school, there's like definitely a notion of having to be an officer in everything you do. And like, does that mentality fade in college, or is it still essential to hold these like positions?
In college, it's like a lot different, where you join things because it's you in college you have a lot of free time. You don't have free time, but you have more ability to like dictate your own schedules and manage your time the way you want it. So when you spend time on things, it's your own decision to do so. And joining an organization is you investing your time in something that you care about. So it's like, I think people don't care as much about holding a position, because I guess what you put into these clubs is what you want to get out of it. So if you wanted more leadership experience, then sure, of course, you would maybe want to be an officer for a specific club, but you still get all of the benefits of being in that organization without having to be a leader in it. So it's a lot. I think it's a lot different in college, to answer your question.
Yeah. And I think we have a couple elementary schoolers here, so they're asking like if you could recommend them any organizations.
Oh, I didn't know there would be elementary schoolers, because I think I just threw a lot of a lot of things at y'all. I'm sorry about that. Um, Organizations for elementary school, I would definitely, um, first Lego League was really great for me. Zero Robotics. Um, there's other things that I wasn't in, like math counts and that kind of thing. I don't know much about it, but those are just names that I've heard. Um, and um, yeah, for elementary school students, I'm not sure, but the ones I know were first Lego League and Girls Who Code and Zero Robotics.
Yeah. Um, I guess like moving on to like a bunch of CS related and college and internship related questions. What subjects do you suggest on focusing more in high school to get into a good college? Yes.
So in high school, so I would say again, I would give that same advice about feeling free to like try different classes, even if you know that you want to apply to an engineering major. Don't feel like you have to only take like physics, bio, chem, and calc, that kind of thing. But I would also say, for if you do know that you want to be an engineering major, I would maybe recommend taking AP Physics if you can, if your high school offers it. But other than that, just keep trying different things.
Yeah. And someone asks, when did you start coding and would you recommend knowing how to code before going to college?
So I learned a little bit in middle school through first Lego League, like really high level basic things, and then I learned a little bit more in high school through robotics. But I didn't know a ton. I think I mostly learned like in my senior year of high school, and then a lot in the summer program I did CSSI. I learned a lot there, but I think I didn't have that full foundation really until college. So don't feel the pressure to be like a CS expert before you go to college. You don't really need much experience to get into a CS major. I think you should definitely get exposed to some things before, just to see if it's something that you enjoy or not.
Um, someone else also asked, how did you get internships in high school relating to CS and engineering? What are some good ways to look for these internships?
So in high school, I think a great thing to do is if you're interested in research, then definitely like at local universities, um, like look at their research labs, and then if you find labs that are doing research that you're interested in, contact the PI at those labs. Just feel free to send them an email and like introduce yourself and what you're interested in, and like why you're interested in and maybe like volunteering there over the summer or interning there. And a lot of the times for high school students, there's not that many opportunities, but if you do a lot of emailing, maybe like a few of them will respond. So I was able to get like an internship at this lab at Stanford where we were looking at like plant pathogens, which because I was really interested in bio in my sophomore year of high school, for freshman and sophomore year. So I think just like doing that outreach is really important.
Do you have any tips on getting internships like from smaller startups?
Yeah, so there's a website called Angel List. I think the link is like angellist.co, and that's where I got my internship. It's just like a lot of startups will post opportunities, and those ones you can like apply really easily. You just need to make a profile and upload a resume, and then you can just like click apply to places, and then you'll usually, if people are interested, then you'll be able to schedule an interview and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Someone also asked, well, around which grade is a good time to make a LinkedIn profile? And do you have any specific advice on how to create your LinkedIn profile?
I think the only age requirement is that you need to be at least 13 years of age. I mean, I'm not saying that you that you have to make one um, at that time, but you can make one anytime really, and you can just put like different like high school orgs that you've been in, and like what your interests are and your skills, and you can feel free to reach out to people and connect, um, and just like feel free to learn from other people, get mentorship, and all. Did that answer your question?
I think so, yeah. Uh, Someone also asked, do you think it's absolutely necessary to participate in CS/engineering extracurriculars like robotics to strengthen your application for a CS major? Or is it okay to be heavily involved in some STEAM activities like the Olympiads?
I don't think it's required to be involved in like any like set of activities to get into a CS or engineering major. Um, to apply to a CS or engineering major, I think you can really do there's people from all sorts of different backgrounds and experiences. So don't feel pressure to do Olympiads or do clubs or like engineering clubs. I think where the importance comes in is figuring out that you are interested in engineering. So that's why maybe a lot of people who are applying have done other stuff in engineering before. But I think definitely like don't feel the pressure to do those kinds of things. Just keep trying different things and like figure out like what your interests are in.
Yeah. I think so. I think someone asked, why did you choose UC Davis to study computer science? And could you share some of your experiences relating to UC Davis?
Hmm. Yeah, I chose UC Davis because it was closer to home, and I just really liked the campus and the environment. And also, like some of my friends were going there, which is not a good reason to choose a college, but it was just like overall, it was just like a really good option for me. And at Davis, the CS department is a little bit smaller than at other schools, but there's definitely a lot of like great professors, and a lot of opportunities, and people are like generally like pretty nice. Um, Definitely with any public university, there's going to be some shortfalls. There's going to be times when there's not enough resources to support everyone. Um, so that's also something to keep in mind. But I've overall had a pretty good experience at Davis, I think. There's definitely like lots of opportunities to do like internships and join clubs. And at some schools like Berkeley, you have to like apply to join a club or an organization. But at Davis, like it's more open to everyone, which I think is really nice.
Yeah. I think this will be like the final question, but
Mhm.
what colleges are good for CS?
I think the UCs are all really great for CS. Um, if you're asking about like CSUs, also like San Jose State is really great, and Cal Poly SLO. Those are also really, really great schools for CS. Um, and also like community colleges in this area are really great. So De Anza and Foothill and Ohlone, they all have different programs that were all those three community colleges, they offer a lot of like advanced CS classes that you wouldn't get at most community colleges. So those are also really good options, and something to also consider, especially since I don't know how long school will be online for. But yeah, definitely like UCs are great. There's a lot of great CS schools in general. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you so much for presenting. And
I had one more thing. If we could go back to the Jamboard and go to like the second page.
um, right, I'll send the Jamboard link.
I just like at the end of presentations, I like to like get a feel of like what people are thinking, because it's like, especially because it's online and I can't see everyone all at once and like get a read on like the body language. Like I really want to know. Just feel free to be as honest as possible. Like like what thoughts you had. Like was this something helpful? Is there something that I could like improve on in a future presentation? um, Other things that I didn't talk about that you wanted to know more about, that kind of thing. And I will stop sharing. Um, but yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, and for all the work that are y'all are doing in spreading education about STEM and STEAM actually. Um, yeah, I think that's really great, and it's really exciting to see high school students so involved.